What are some of the best time management tips for college students? What are the best time management strategies for a student? I decided to combine these together since they were so similar. First tip is how I save time note taking. I had difficulties writing quickly, and when I did write quickly, I couldn't read any of it in college. I was a much faster typer, so I started typing my notes in a Microsoft program called OneNote. An unforeseen bonus was it was easier and it gave me more time to listen to the teacher. Looking back on it, I think it was because I didn't have to think or try so hard to make my notes legible so that I could actually read them later and just write fast enough to capture all the most important things I thought the teacher was saying. And another bonus was that when I was studying for quizzes, tests, finals, etc., it was easy because I could search for the subtopics I was studying at that moment in OneNote, and quickly pull up all the parts of all my notes that included that subtopic or those words, and that saved me so much time. So there's this little search bar. I think it's on the top right, kind of above all the columns. Well, I don't know if it's different if you're using the app, but you just type in your words in there, and then you could search in a particular folder or a tab, which is like the class. And so it showed me and automatically highlighted all the places where I wrote about that in the notes throughout the whole semester, and that was really, really helpful for me. Second tip is to learn when you are naturally more energetic and focused throughout each day, and dedicate that time. You can time block in your calendar for your hardest classes. Try to register for your classes early so that you can align that class with that time slot when you're more focused. And the opposite of this should also be planned. So for those easy classes for you, plan the class, or for you to do the homework for that class during the times when you are the least energetic and the least focused. If you are fascinated with the class, then you can literally do it whenever, even if you have low energy. But just be mindful and don't do this right before bed, because sometimes it can stimulate you and wake you up if you like it so much that it just naturally gives you energy. The third tip: your mind is like a cell phone battery and constantly needs to be recharged to save time and to use your time wisely. This is a Stephen Covey principle called sharpening your saw. So don't ever study for more than 1.5 hours. That's the max. Or whenever you're having a hard time focusing, then stop before that 1.5 hours and get some exercise in the sunlight, some water, some healthy food, snacks. Go someplace that naturally recharges you, a beautiful nature trail, whatever. You want to feel recharged emotionally, physically, mentally, stress, anxiety, etc., and then get back to it for another 90 minutes. And you can also set a timer during that time. A lot of people use like the Pomodoro technique, and try to reserve about 15 minutes for those breaks. If your time management is still really bad or you're really having trouble focusing, try using a modified Pomodoro technique where you are tracking as soon as you lose focus, and then you're only setting a timer for you can do it 3 times, and when you naturally see yourself getting distracted, then stop that stopwatch, and then do the 3 times, take an average of it, and that amount of time, whatever that is your custom Pomodoro timer, and use that to study. Then take a short break, and then come back, set that exact same timer, break, exact same time, break. And that will really help you if your ADHD or your shiny object syndrome is just really bad for that day for whatever reason. It probably has a lot to do with sleep, food, or some other big factor in your life. Fourth tip: Create a batch routine or pattern in your personal and your school life to better manage your time. And try to make them healthy habits. Try to make healthy habits out of all these tips, actually. The fifth tip is to plan to always be ahead of the class in all your classes, but especially the hard ones. At the beginning of the semester, look at each class's schedule, syllabus, and put all the most important dates in your calendar. Start studying so that you're 2 weeks ahead of that class. You want to at least maintain a week ahead, but try to get to that 2 weeks. This will help you use your class time as wisely as possible because you will already know what parts of the homework that you don't understand and are struggling with, so that you can be sure to perk up, listen, and ask questions when the professor gets there. It's been a couple of decades since I've been in college for me, so I'm sure I'm forgetting a whole bunch of tips, but these 5 tips should get you started on a better foot. I really struggled in college because instead of taking a subject that would have been easy for me, like entrepreneurship, they had one of the best programs back then at U of H in the country. I took mechanical engineering, which for me was extremely hard because I struggled in it so much. So these tips were really valuable for me. And a bonus tip that may or may not apply: always sit in the front of the class with the kids that look like they are the most serious note takers in the class, or they ask the most questions, or they seem like they're the most engaged people. You want to become friends with those people, especially the ones that are scoring the highest naturally on the test, quizzes, homeworks. In one class, one girl was dating one of the teacher's aides, I think that's what you call them, and had access to all the online quizzes and homework problems done step by step. Some of the calculations in engineering would take 1 to 2 entire pages to complete. So seeing every step could save you so much time figuring out where the hell you made a mistake. As always, subscribe and hit the bell to tank your time management soul.